Leads to fortune on Entertainment Tonight.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. The United States Supreme Court ruled today that burning the flag of the United States is a lawful constitutional act of political protest. The ruling is certain to spark debate across the nation, as it obviously did among the justices themselves. CBS News law correspondent Rita Braver has details on this major First Amendment ruling.
Dallas, 1984. As Ronald Reagan was being renominated for president, demonstrators outside were staging anti-nuclear die-ins. Amid chants of red, white, and blue, we spit on you, Gregory Johnson burned an American flag.
It was great to see that flag, a symbol of international plunder and murder, go up in flames and be reduced to ashes.
Johnson was convicted and sentenced to a year in jail for violating Texas law. But today, the U.S. Supreme Court said that the state may not criminally punish a person for burning a flag as a means of political protest. The decision was a bitter disappointment to the detective who arrested Johnson.
It's a symbol, and for them to destroy that symbol, just to me, it's just destroying everything that we live here for.
But in an unusual coalition, a majority of the Supreme Court disagreed. Liberals William Brennan, Thurgood Marshall, and Harry Blackmun joined with conservatives Antonin Scalia and Anthony Kennedy. Brennan writing, "We do not consecrate the flag by punishing its desecration, for in doing so we dilute the freedom that this cherished emblem represents." And he said, if there is a bedrock principle underlying the First Amendment, it is that the government may not prohibit the expression of an idea simply because society finds the idea itself offensive or disagreeable.
You can't make the flag into a sort of a religious object that's so sanctified that it can't be used in public protest.
But joined by fellow conservatives Sandra Day O'Connor and Byron White, Chief Justice William Rehnquist sharply objected to that reasoning, invoking John Greenleaf Whittier's poem about Civil War heroine Barbara Fritchie. "Shoot if you must this old gray head, but spare your country's flag," she said. And underscoring the surprising lineup on this case, liberal Justice John Paul Stevens sided with the conservatives.
He even read his dissent from the bench, arguing that the flag must be worthy of protection from unnecessary desecration. Meanwhile, conservative Justice Anthony Kennedy joined the liberals, stating it is poignant but fundamental that the flag protects those who hold it in contempt. Rita Braver, CBS News at the Supreme Court.
In another First Amendment ruling, the court threw out damages against a Florida newspaper that accidentally printed the name of a rape victim. The court ruled that in most cases, states cannot punish a news organization for using truthful, lawfully obtained information. The Jacksonville newspaper had obtained the rape victim's name from a report posted in the sheriff's department. Few issues rouse the passions of Americans more than the Stars and Stripes and the degree of respect it commands. Abortion might come close. Gun control also might come close. Chief Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer reports tonight how officials who support a crackdown on assault weapons are finding their own lives in danger.
Dayton, Ohio City Commissioner Tony Capizzi needed round-the-clock police protection even at city council meetings after he spoke out against military-style assault weapons. He got so many death threats that as he was telling an interviewer about one, his wife relayed another by phone.
You be careful. Okay, fine. Just got a death threat at the house.
That's when Capizzi asked for police protection.
I guess Jenny got a letter addressed to me that says, death to the tyrant who would propose this kind of legislation, and we'll get him tonight. So.
Capizzi's nightmare experience is just one part of a nationwide pattern of vicious advertising, racial slurs, and death threats that has developed against senior police and officials at every level of government who have spoken out against assault weapons. Targets of the threats say they began after the National Rifle Association unveiled a nationwide campaign opposing controls on the weapons.
I think they've gotten those who are gun lovers to believe what's been written in the ads, and as a consequence, their emotions have run quite high.
The NRA, directly or indirectly, kind of fans those flames of hysteria, and that's too bad.
One threatening letter to Stark included a bullet, but NRA spokesmen see no connection between their campaign and the threats.
Anyone who suggests that we have had anything to do with those kind of threats is completely wrong.
Vermont's Pete Smith has been inundated with hate mail.
And one example is this poster, which has been Xeroxed a number of times, with a picture of me and Adolf Hitler.
Across the country, another highly visible opponent of the weapons, San Jose, California Police Chief Joseph McNamara, has received similar literature. But he says the letters he gets amount to an argument for stricter gun control.
One can assume that these people are well armed. They certainly sometimes even indicate that in the letter. And there have been several with threatening connotations.
Congressional hearings on 8 separate bills to control assault weapons resume next month, with officials here now convinced the threats are part of a pattern, not isolated incidents. Bob Schieffer, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Some rank-and-file American citizens charged today that the FBI interfered with their freedom of speech simply because they wrote letters to certain foreign governments. Terrence Smith covered the hearing on Capitol Hill.
Virginia Bernard was touched when she saw a Soviet icebreaker help free the trapped whales in Alaska last fall, so she sent a letter of appreciation to the Soviet embassy in Washington. The embassy never replied, but the FBI did, sending an agent to find out if she was a spy.
To look up housewives and people who happen to write a letter and pen pals and that kind of thing, this is ridiculous.
An even less likely spy, 12-year-old Ian Glasson, got a visit from the FBI after he wrote to the Yugoslav embassy to get information for a school assignment.
When that guy came or whatever, my dad was shaking and he was sweating and stuff like that. And when he left, he said, gosh, I was a nervous wreck. I didn't know what was going on.
As part of its counterintelligence efforts, the FBI routinely monitors the mail that Americans send to communist embassies and governments and follows up to find out if sensitive information is changing hands. Today, their procedures came in for sharp criticism at a congressional hearing.
It's very clear that it is chilling to Americans exercising freedom of speech and freedom of communication generally.
Phyllis Grady, a school librarian in Pennsylvania, found a note on her door from the FBI after she wrote to Bulgarian authorities complaining about political persecution in that country.
The effect of this whole experience was to make me feel really uneasy that the FBI would come directly to my home and to my workplace as if I were under surveillance.
But the FBI director defended the agency's work as necessary.
We have the responsibility to be certain as we can, that these contacts are proper ones and are not for purposes that would detract from the best interest of the United States.
Congressman Edwards agrees, but says he'll summon Sessions before the committee and insist that the Bureau develop new guidelines to cover how it deals with American citizens. Terrence Smith, CBS News, Washington.
Still to come on the CBS Evening News, we'll have the latest from China and Bruce Hall on Philadelphia, Mississippi, in a new light after 25 years. Also, Richard Roth on a movie star's reluctant role in a New York City courtroom.
Now, new scientific tests prove Heart's Blockade Repellent gives your pet total protection against fleas and ticks, or your money back. Unsolicited, here's what some satisfied Blockade users have told us.
My golden retriever suffered with fleas and ticks. Heart's Blockade solved the problem. It really works. I'm so pleased with Heart's Blockade. I have 3 dogs and 7 cats and raise basset hounds who have always had a flea problem until I use Blockade. It's terrific.
Heart's Blockade, guaranteed flea and tick protection that really works.
You've just been caught knocking off the Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran. How do you handle the consequences?
Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran?
Who, me?
Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran? Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran?
I didn't do it. I did not do it. No, absolutely not.
With the crunchy sweet taste of Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran, an open box is an empty box.
Good friends and good food, but my stomach aches. My party and my Lanta 2.
Double strength My Lanta 2 with nearly double the acid neutralizing power of any leading regular strength brand.
Because my life takes my Lanta 2.
Patients come in, they don't even tell me they smoke.
You know what I tell them? It's an addiction to nicotine. You need treatment. Today we can treat nicotine addiction.
Patients just don't know that.
It's a shame they don't come to us.
See your doctor.
Ignoring a plea for mercy from the United States, China today carried out the first executions in its crackdown against pro-freedom demonstrators. Secretary of State Baker said the U.S. regrets the killings, but is not planning any new action against China. John Shane in Beijing begins our report.
Condemned by a Shanghai court last week, the 3 workers shot to death publicly today are only the first to die. The government claims there was a nationwide conspiracy to overthrow the communist system. The arrests, 1,600 so far, the suspect convictions, the executions, are all predicated on a piece of fiction. In the official version, friendly soldiers entered Beijing on June 3rd and were attacked by raging mobs.
Of course, they reversed the sequence of that on national television. The army vehicles were burned after the army shot down people at random and after the pools of blood in the street. But they showed it that first the vehicles were attacked and then the army, having no recourse, began to use weapons, which is just the opposite of what really happened.
Truth has become a rare commodity in China. No matter how eyewitnesses or foreign journalists try to preserve the truth, ultimately the people who control the Chinese television screens may prevail.
If you run a good propaganda, it has to be grounded in several figments of reality. And this is grounded in some figments of reality. But then you build a layer and layer of stuff that you want to convey.
Almost daily, there have been government memorial services for soldiers who died in Beijing. Further proof that the people attacked the army.
Propaganda is actually believable. You know, I have witnessed all this. I watched television and it looks like maybe I didn't see it right.
There is one flaw. The civilians, dead and wounded, have never been shown on state TV. Instead, 8 more people await execution in Beijing. Amidst the fiction, that is the truth. And in the city of Jinan today, another 17 were sentenced to die. John Sheehan, CBS News, Beijing.
No questions.
The executions came only hours after President Bush had appealed for clemency. But today at the White House, the emphasis was on the need to maintain ties with China. No plans even to register a protest.
We deeply regret the fact that these executions have gone forward.
Secretary of State Baker merely issued a muted complaint.
There is an important relationship here which we should seek to preserve if we possibly can.
But a chorus of voices is beginning to demand tougher U.S. actions. Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell called the executions a barbarous act and suggested trade sanctions.
There are times when what America stands for and believes in is more important than an economic benefit to be derived from a trade relationship.
Amid the outrage, Chinese leaders are almost brazen in their business-as-usual attitude. The Chinese ambassador to Washington kept an appointment made weeks ago with Senator Leahy of Vermont.
Mostly I told him that if there are not changes, there could be serious and long-lasting damage to the relationships between our two countries.
President Bush specifically opposes trade sanctions, but if public opinion shifts and the pressure to act grows, White House aides say the president may be forced to change his mind. Leslie Stahl, CBS News, the White House.
Israeli warplanes struck Lebanon today for the 3rd time in a week. The U.S.-made F-14s blasted what was said to be headquarters of a radical Palestinian group in the hills south of Beirut. The guerrillas sent up a hail of anti-aircraft fire, but Israel said all its planes returned safely. Lebanese sources said 8 people and buildings were heavily damaged. That's 8 buildings heavily damaged.
Do you like Raisin Bran?
Yes, I do.
Well, this is new Total Raisin Bran.
Ooh.
It tastes just as good as your Raisin Bran.
Really?
But it has 4 times the vitamin nutrition.
4 times? That's...
So can you think of one single reason why Total Raisin Bran shouldn't be your Raisin Bran?
Oh, well,
Speechless, huh?
Subaru would like to apologize to the residents of Casa Grande, Arizona.
where we drove the all-new Subaru Legacy at speeds averaging 138 miles per hour, 24 hours a day for over 60,000 miles. That's about 2.5 times around the world. Until we set a new world speed endurance record. If you're listening, Casa Grande, thank you.
Do denture wearers need to worry about tartar? You betcha. That's why I love my new Polident. Its super strength now controls ugly tartar for an even better clean. Try my new super strength Polident. Controls tartar for super clean.
For me, naturally good Sunsweet pitted prunes are a great fit. The only place they haven't fit is my purse. But now, there's the Sunsweet snack pack. For lunch bags, travel bags, handbags. Sunsweet snack packs are the perfect fit.
A suit filed in a Delaware court today is only the latest shot in a clash of titans over a corporate takeover. Its players include some of the biggest names in the book, magazine, movie, television, and recording fields. At stake are billions of dollars. At stake, too, is a good deal of what you read, watch, and hear. Our business correspondent Ray Brady reports.
Secretly, in Time's Midtown Tower, the lawyers wrote the first act. Batman, the title of its new film, was the code name for Warner.
I'm Batman.
Time Incorporated became Joker.
Wait till they get a load of me.
But the merger they planned is turning into a battle right out of a Hollywood movie.
A variety of scripts out there, but nobody knows which script the director's going to use.
To media giants Time and Warner, it looked like a hit. Times magazines and cable television, including home box office, joined with Warner's movies, records, and cable systems. A dynamic duo, too big to be gobbled up by anybody else. Warner's top man, Steve Ross, applauded. He stood to gain as much as $150 million. Now enter what Time calls the villain, Martin Davis of Paramount. Davis offered $10.75 billion to buy Time and stop the merger.
Under one roof, we will have Time Magazine, Sports Illustrated, People, Simon & Schuster, Prentice Hall, Paramount Pictures, Madison Square Garden, the Knicks, the Rangers, and HBO.
Time struck back, saying it would go deeply into debt and spend $14 billion to acquire Warner and push Paramount out of the picture. Time's fear that Davis would break up its company.
Everybody's worried, whether you're working for the magazine, the books group, the corporate division. Everybody feels their jobs are gone.
But, say critics, no matter how this drama unfolds, it's the audience who may be shortchanged.
The average American, as this trend continues, I think, is more and more going to be presented with assembly line news and assembly line entertainment and assembly line books and movies and cable and video cassettes.
Paramount's suit today was aimed at blocking Time's moves against it. At stake, though, is what could be the world's biggest entertainment and media conglomerate. So this is one fight that will go on for months and months. Dan?
Ray Brady, thanks. Well, that wasn't an early 4th of July celebration last night in Tonawanda, New York. Acting on a tip, police found an illegal fireworks factory in a residential neighborhood. In a careful caravan, they took the volatile fireworks to an open field a few miles away. They spread out the flash powder, hoping it would just burn. Instead, it exploded, shattering windows nearby. Later, police set off the fireworks themselves. Authorities said the explosives could have destroyed a couple of city blocks.
Somewhere there's got to be a cure for athlete's foot.
Step up to the mic.
Mike?
Micatin. It cured my athlete's foot. It's got something the others don't. Miconazole. There's nothing more powerful.
Hey!
I'm giving away advice, not Micatin.
Say, what you got for my athlete's foot?
Step up to the mic.
Mike?
Micatin. It cures athlete's foot. There's even a deodorant Micatin.
Then I'll take the Micatin. To go.
Step up to the cure. Step up to the mic. Micatin. Look for new economy size powder.
After you've produced the yearly report in record time, after you've made order out of paperwork chaos, after you've turned the slideshow into a colorful part of your winning proposal, and seen productivity become top priority, maybe after all that you'll know why Canon is the most popular copier in America. From personal to color laser copying, the choice is Canon. Call toll-free 1-800-OK-CANNON.
This business may seem easy, but try doing this with minor arthritis pain. For years I took aspirin, but now there's Advil. It gives me hours of relief, yet it's gentler to my stomach than aspirin. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
The day may come when every washer will handle all your fabrics with expert care and get your big loads really clean. But isn't it nice to know Whirlpool has washers that will do it today?
In an apparent attempt to score an ethics point on the Democrats, House Republicans today asked for an ethics investigation of one of their own, Ohio's Donald Lukens. Republican leaders said the move was unprecedented. Lukens was convicted in court last month of having sexual relations with an underage girl. There was a bittersweet reunion today in the Deep South. It marked a quarter century of mourning for three fighters for civil rights, James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, Michael Schwerner. It also was a tribute to what their deaths helped achieve. Bruce Hall was there.
They came by the busloads, black and white activists from the North, invited to Philadelphia, Mississippi, so the deep Southern community could apologize to the families and to the nation for the brutal slaying of three civil rights workers 25 years ago today.
We deeply regret what happened here 25 years ago. We wish we could undo it. We are profoundly sorry that they are gone.
During that Freedom Summer of 1964, 1,000 white college students descended on Mississippi, helping blacks register to vote, focusing attention on Southern racism and the brutality of the Ku Klux Klan. Memories and emotions were rekindled by the award-winning movie Mississippi Burning, a fictionalized version of the slayings.
Take it easy, we'll be all right. Sure you will, nigger lover.
It was 44 days before the bodies and burned-out car were found. There was little sympathy in the white community in Philadelphia.
I feel like they asked for it. They came here looking for trouble.
Now Philadelphia has black police officers, integrated schools, and is trying to live down its old image of a bad, brutal, bigoted community.
In 1964, it was a time of terror, fear. Now it's a city where everyone is working together.
It's really amazing the change that's come about, especially since Mississippi Burning. I think people have come around to a different attitude about what happened here in 64.
And with a change in attitude, the state attorney general is considering reopening the case, charging some of those involved with murder.
People in Mississippi really want this thing to end one way or the other. They either want the case to be prosecuted successfully or they want it to someone to tell them that it can't be prosecuted.
But we need to heal too. It's important for our community, and because there's a lot to be done, and we just can't do it right now because this thing won't let us. It just won't let us.
For those gathered here, it is an opportunity not only to admit the past, but to try to understand the idealism that led so many to put their bodies on the line in that summer of '64. Bruce Hall, CBS News, Philadelphia, Mississippi.
This is John Overly, and this is his farm. It's the Benjamin Moore Paint Farm. Out here, John tests thousands of Benjamin Moore paints to make sure they'll withstand years of sun and cold, rain and snow without cracking, peeling, or fading. These tests help make Benjamin Moore the only paint good enough for the Reynolds family and their new home. They wouldn't settle for anything less, would you?
When something means so much, see your Benjamin Moore dealer.
Right now, all over America, people are busy getting their homes ready for you to come see them. It's part of Better Homes and Gardens' celebration of the American home. A celebration that's all about helping you find the home you've been looking for. In fact, this Sunday we'll be having thousands of open houses, and you're invited. Find out about homes and special events in your area by calling your local Better Homes and Gardens member firm. Join us for Better Homes and Gardens' celebration of the American home.
Tylenol or Ecotrin? Guess which one arthritis specialists choose. Surprised? It's Ecotrin, the aspirin with the iron safety coat to help protect your stomach. The arthritis specialist choice over Tylenol. That's Ecotrin, and that's the truth.
The old gray Subaru ain't what she used to be. Introducing the Subaru Legacy.
61 congressmen and a group of environmentalists today asked the Interior Department to sue Exxon Corporation for damage caused to public land as a result of the Exxon Valdez oil spill. One congressman called the action, quote, the only genuine incentive that will ever prevent a repetition of the Valdez tragedy. An environmentalist said, and I quote him, this is a key issue to determine if the federal government is at all serious about the environment. Now, life on the edge, confronting a harsh reality, underlies the worlds inhabited by actor William Hurt in movies like The Big Chill and Kiss of the Spider-Woman. But those worlds weren't much worse than the ordeal Hurt is going through now in a New York City court.
It's a drama about love and commitment between a movie star and a ballerina.
He told me that he was very much in love with me, and that he wanted to have children with me, have a family with me.
It's a story as old as romance and as timely as tomorrow.
She knew I had no intention of marrying.
But this is a real New York courtroom and a true-to-life story. A man confronted with a part of his past. A reunion, a lot like in the movies.
I don't mind, 'cause you mean that much to me.
The story goes back almost 7 years when William Hurt was filming The Big Chill, a reunion of students from the 60s facing responsibilities in the 80s. The cast was in South Carolina, where common-law marriage is recognized, and where Hurt was living out of wedlock with dancer Sandra Jennings, about to bear him a child.
He ended up telling me that it didn't matter because as far as he was concerned, we were married in the eyes of God. We had a spiritual marriage.
The dilemma is whether that relationship is enough for a New York court now to consider a divorce claim by Jennings of $5 million. She says $65,000 a year Hurt is reportedly now paying to support their child Alex leaves her in poverty. He says the interrogation is an insult that's blocked his memory.
Get your rhythm right.
You had yours right now when you had Alex, didn't you?
You can permit that?
Please ask him.
Objection sustained.
He's mucking around with the conception of my son. He's making a what am I doing?
Let's not talk about Alex.
Insulting little joke about it. You understand?
And the whole business, from the distressed actor to the distraught dancer to the turbaned valet one lawyer brings to court, all of it's made for Boffo box office, which shouldn't matter, says an attorney who specializes in this work.
The law is what prevails, and that's going to be applied to this case. So I don't think whether it's the big chill or the half chill or a chilled grapefruit is going to make any difference.
In court, after all, there's no script.
There isn't a word that I spoke at the time that I remember, okay?
We're speaking in substance.
And no guarantee of a happy ending.
I am totally confused.
Richard Roth, CBS News, New York.
And that's the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather. See you tomorrow. Good night.
I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Kathleen Sullivan. Tomorrow we'll cover the Who's reunion tour.
Also, 30-somethings Ken Olin and Patricia Wedding. Tomorrow on CBS This Morning.
This is CBS.